now ready to rule on the question of privilege raised on December 4th by the House Leader of the Official Opposition concerning the Speaker's participation by video message at Provincial Party Convention on December 2nd, 2023. Dans une déclaration faite plus tôt dans la séance, le président.
The Speaker, in a statement earlier in the sitting, had explained that he had been asked to record a personal message to be played as part of a tribute video to a colleague and friend from the National Capital Region, whom he has known for many decades. He apologized for the perception of partisanship that his involvement in the said convention created. He also indicated that if concerns were brought to the floor of the House, he would recuse himself from discussions on this matter. As such, I fulfilled the role bestowed upon the Deputy Speaker to weigh the arguments from honourable members, assess the procedural authorities and precedents, and prepare a ruling on this matter.
It is exceedingly rare that actions involving the Speaker are questioned in the Chamber. It requires a thoughtful and serious response. The role of Speaker is central to our parliamentary institutions. It cannot be seen to be diminished or drawn into partisan debate. It is with this in mind that I approach this ruling. In his intervention, the House Leader of the Official Opposition alleged that the Speaker failed in his responsibility to uphold the impartiality of his office. He did so by providing a video tribute in an allegedly partisan manner from the Speaker's office and dressed in the Speaker's attire for the departing interim leader of a provincial party, which was shown at the party's convention. He contended that the Speaker clearly indicated a partisan preference. The member quoted extensively from numerous procedural authorities on the high expectation for impartiality that is attached to the position of Speaker of the House of Commons. The member argued that the matter should be viewed as a contempt of the House. He pointed to House of Commons Procedures and Practice, 3rd edition, which emphasizes that a matter of contempt can be addressed by the House, even in the absence of any specific breach of privilege. In a subsequent intervention, he called on the Speaker to resign. Le député de la Prairie, pour sa part, a insisté pour dire que la...
The member for La Prairie, for his part, emphasized that the Speaker's participation in a partisan political activity was a breach of his impartiality. He posited that speakers need two qualities to successfully fulfill their duties. They must always show impartiality in all their activities and must show good judgment. On both counts, according to the member, the Speaker has failed to do so, and as such must resign. The member for New Westminster Burnaby also spoke of the gravity of the situation. According to the member, the Speaker's actions went against the principle of impartiality, so important to the position. He called on the Deputy Speaker to find a prima facie question of privilege, and that the matter be referred to the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs.
Other members also intervene on the matter, but I would like to highlight a quote from the House of Commons Procedure and Practice, 3rd edition, at page 323, that the House Leader of the Official Opposition cited. It bears repeating because it succinctly sums up the requirement for impartiality by the Speaker. It says, quote, "When in the chair, the Speaker embodies the power and authority of the office, strengthened by rule and precedent. He or she must at all times show and be seen to show the impartiality required to sustain the trust and goodwill of the House," unquote. Allegations of partisanship against the Speaker are a very serious matter. To protect the integrity of the position, it is generally not permissible for members to call into question the Speaker's impartiality. If members wish to object to the Speaker's conduct, there is a clear process by which this is to be accomplished. Comme on peut lire à la page 323 à la procédure.
As one can read on page 323 of House and Commons Procedure and Practice, quote, "The actions of the Speaker may not be criticized in debate or by any means except by way of a substantive motion," unquote.
Opposition acknowledged as much in his remarks, noting that this is the usual manner in which complaints against the Speaker are dealt with. While he would have this motion brought forward before the House by way of a prima facie finding a question of privilege, this is not the course of action that has been followed in the past. As it is further stated at pages 620 and 621 of the same work, quote, only by means of a substantive motion for which 48 hours written notice have been given may the actions of the chair be challenged, criticized, and debated, unquote. Il existe des exemples de situations.
We do have past examples of similar occurrences. On June 1st, 1956, at page 4540 of the debates, Speaker Baudouin directed that a motion be first placed on notice to address complaints about his conduct. Similarly, on March 13th, 2000, Speaker Parent took the same approach when faced with a comparable situation. In both cases, Speakers Baudouin and Parent declined to rule on their own conduct and did not ask another chair occupant to rule on their behalf. I will note that the matter at issue in each case was dissatisfaction with a procedural ruling. In the present case, what is at issue is the Speaker's conduct outside of the House, and whether or not it has brought into question his impartiality. As we saw, the Speaker decided to recuse himself and to entrust me in guiding the House as to the next steps to take, if any, regarding this matter.
Official opposition elected to bring his concerns through a question of privilege and not through the preferred means to which such a matter forward to the House, that is to place a substantive motion on notice. I allowed the arguments yesterday, even though it is not the usual course of action, as I recognized the grave concerns some members had and wished to express. La présidence se trouve dans une position difficile.
The chair finds itself in a difficult position, having to determine if, on the face of it, a colleague's behavior brings into question the impartiality of the chair. This is more properly an issue for the House to decide. I also acknowledge that for all of us, the House, chair occupants, and members, to settle this matter as soon as possible.
That basis alone. Rather than insisting that a substantive motion be placed on notice, I find that this matter should have priority over other orders of the day and will allow the House Leader of the official opposition to move his motion. In future, if members wish to take issue with the conduct of the Speaker, rather than raising points of order or questions of privilege, I would instead direct them to place a substantive motion on notice. I thank you all for your attention. The Honourable House Leader for the official opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Speaker's public participation at an Ontario Liberal Party convention as Speaker of the House of Commons constitutes a breach of the tradition and expectation of impartiality required for that high office, constituting a serious error of judgment which undermines the trust required to discharge his duties and responsibilities, and therefore move that the House refers that matter to the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs with instruction that it recommend an appropriate remedy.
I'll just wait for that copy to come up. Mr. Scheer, seconded by Mr. Bertal, moves that the Speaker's public participation at an Ontario Liberal Party convention as Speaker of the House of Commons constitutes a breach of the tradition and expectation of impartiality required for that high office, constituting a serious error of judgment which undermines the trust required to discharge his duties and responsibilities, and therefore the House refers the matter to the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs with instruction that it recommend an appropriate remedy. Debate. The Honourable House Leader for the official opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.